Right, I'm going to talk through 6 steps. How do you improve wiring and therefore business improvement? So number 1 is you've got to understand what is the economic outcome you want for the firm. Here's an example from a client of ours, shall remain nameless, but they wanted to reduce their overhead costs. Right? That was more important to them than revenue increase or EBITDA, etc. They wanted to reduce overhead costs. Well, it's very nice to say that, but you need to break down the problem. So in this case, we broke it down. Labor costs, non-labor costs, and then we broke it down further and further and further. And as you see over here, these are things you can do at the front line or at the first line management level. Because frankly, if you've got an economic outcome for a business, if you cannot break it down to things that people at the front line can do, you're just wasting your time. If I am a CEO and I go to an analyst presentation and I say, we're going to increase earnings per share by 10%, unless that means something for the guy fixing the truck on the mine site, unless that means something for the salesperson trying to sell a product on the front line, unless that means something for the recruiter in the HR department trying to figure out how can I increase the yield at each step of my recruiting process, it doesn't matter at all unless those people understand what is my role in helping the CEO get to that objective. So we always take a business and we look at where are you trying to get to and what are things you can do on the front line. This case it was overhead costs. This case, it was a fertilizer plant. For them, it was about getting more fertilizer produced. So every business has a different tree. Here, on the far side, we had tons of fertilizer. Over here, we've got percentage of completance of planned maintenance jobs. Again, something that can be done on the front line versus the ultimate economic output. So number 1, what is your economic objective? Break it down to the front line. Second thing, we have a tool we call RARs, Result Action Reviews. You could call them a performance review. You've got to put this in place at the top of the organization, CEO to management team. You've got to be very clear. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is the result that you're getting? How does that help you drive your KPIs? If you're not hitting your KPIs, what are the actions that you do differently? Not next year, not next quarter, not next month, but definitely next week, maybe even tomorrow, to help improve that. This is a very rigorous discussion between CEO and direct report. Next one. We then take this and we cascade it down the entire organization. CEO, then goes to managers, then goes to department heads, then goes to supervisors, then goes to the front line. Probably it'll move from reports down to visual boards at the front line, but through the whole organization, this weekly or daily cadence of how are you performing? When you haven't hit the target, what are you doing differently? And this isn't about, oh, you're stupid, you failed to hit your target. This is, if you fail to hit your target, we fail to get the economic outcome. What can I as your manager do to help? What extra resource? What coaching can I give? You've got to drive it through the whole organization, and that takes time. Not only does it take time, it takes quite a bit of coaching. Here's an example, real example. This is a management team. John, Susie, Eleanor, Juan, whomever. Each one of them has 6 measurements on how well did their result action review go. Did it start on time? Was it complete? Did they talk about how to improve KPIs? Were there clear actions recorded for next week, etc.?